Alright guys, I don't know how well this will work. I got my phone kind of mounted, hanging from the sunroof, but wanted to make another video about driving post-stroke. This one is really going to be about driving a stick shift car, manual transmission, after you've had a stroke, especially in my case, right hemisphere stroke. So I have a lot of neuropathy on the left side of my body. So obviously, left arm, left side, left leg, all the way down to my left foot. And obviously when you drive a stick shift, you got to work the clutch pedal, and that's pretty important to have a good amount of feeling with your left leg and foot, so you can kind of work the clutch and whatnot. So I love driving stick shift. That's kind of always been something I've been passionate about. Love driving in general, but driving with the stick shift for me is always been a lot of fun. I've always had a car, at least one car that had a stick. So this is my Golf 2023 Golf GTI that I'll be driving today. And at first when I got out of rehab and finally, well, before I even went through my rehab for post-stroke driving, I didn't know if I was going to be able to drive stick shift anymore. Obviously, with the way my strokes turned out, affecting the left side of my body, I thought, well, I'm going to have something that's automatic, obviously, because the right side of my body is fine. I did not have a left hemisphere stroke, aside from the left occipital lobe, but my strokes did not affect, the feeling in the right side of my body. So an automatic, no big deal. The stick shift, was going to be a little bit trickier, but it was important to me, obviously, that I could figure that out. And I think what I've found, that if you have had a right hemisphere stroke, and again, everybody's different, it affects everybody differently, but for me personally, every time I drive any of my cars that are stick shift, it's kind of like rehab. It's almost like therapy for me, because I'm constantly having to work the right side of my body, work my left leg all the way down to the foot, toes, everything. I mean, it's not as easy. I don't have as much feeling as I used to. It takes a lot more concentration and focus, but after just working in the driveway, driving around just in my cul-de-sac and things like that, and then eventually once I was allowed to drive on the street again, getting back out on the road, I love it. It's like, I always loved driving stick shift, but now it's even more of, I don't want to say a challenge, but it's almost more enjoyable in a weird way, because I feel like it's actually positively affecting me in the way I feel. So anyway, I thought I'd make a video about it. If it's something that somebody else out there wants to get back to driving a stick shift, and you've had a stroke that affected the left side of your body, and you feel like you have enough feeling that you might eventually be able to get back to driving a stick, so I guess this video would be for you. I would recommend a car that has a lighter clutch, so this being the GTI. Usually most cars, I would say probably most cars with a 4-cylinder engine, maybe a less beefy transmission would probably be easier to start with, like this car. I have no issues driving this car stick. I also have 3 muscle cars. They're all pretty similar. I have a newer Chevrolet Camaro, so 2016 Camaro SS, so it's a big V8 engine, and then a Tremec 6-speed transmission. And that's a little bit harder. It took me a while to kind of get more comfortable with that again. Clutch is, it's pretty springy, pushes on you. and so I really have to kind of focus a little bit more and you know, press down on the clutch. I'll say the most challenging part of it is when you're, you know, maybe stop and go traffic, or you know, you're maybe trying to, you know, work around a parking lot or something like that, where you're constantly having to press down and release on the clutch, or, you know, be a little more precise, maybe just slowly accelerate, things like that, where you're having to hold the clutch pedal longer, you know, so that you can just slightly accelerate before you can release the clutch totally. So that can be a little tough sometimes in that car. And then I have two like mid-90s Firebirds that similar, you know, they're both V8s, a Tremec 6-speed transmission. So all those cars are kind of the same, but heavier clutches. They vary differently between the two, you know, the three cars. But I would say I would start with something like this, like a hatchback, maybe like a Civic, something with a 4-cylinder engine, turbo or not, doesn't matter, but with a little bit of a lighter clutch, that might be a little bit easier for you to kind of get back in the swing of things until you feel a little more comfortable. But I don't know how well you can see, you know, my left foot. I try to have the camera set up where you hopefully can somewhat, but usually when I get in the car, I like to kind of just, you know, get my foot, get my feet where they need to be. You know, make sure you're comfortable with your left foot on the clutch pedal. I mean, for me, it's, you know, it's usually kind of at the, I guess, I don't know if you'd call it the ball of your foot, but right below your toes, like, you know, the area, you know, right here, underneath your toes. I think it's the ball of your foot. But and then I just like to kind of just bend. It's almost like you're stretching your ankle out a little bit, and you know, back and forth, just kind of stretching, you know, almost like you're like pushing on something like this with your foot, not your hand, but like, so like doing that, you know, pushing back in, but going this way, just kind of get everything, get the feeling, you know, in your ankle and in your foot and all the way up through your toes. And then obviously you kind of want the heel of your foot, you know, to kind of be resting on the ground a little bit, if your feet are long enough that you can do that. But just kind of get yourself stretched out, and then, you know, I've got it neutral right now, foot on the brake, but then just, you know, go ahead and, you know, push the clutch in a couple times, just get a feel for it. You know, you're pushing it in, pushing it out. And again, like, first time I would do this in your driveway, do it in a cul-de-sac, a parking lot, if you can get there, but somewhere where you got some space, and, you know, you're not out on the street and you're comfortable. That's where I would get yourself started. But that's kind of how I get myself going. But yeah, let's go for a little drive here, and I'll just kind of talk you through it. But I think if it's something that you can work to getting back to, I think you can still really enjoy driving a stick and not be nervous about it. I mean, I'll go pick up my daughter from school, and, you know, get in the pickup line, and a lot of stop and go type traffic, and you know, it's a little more challenging than it was before, but you can definitely work through it. So I just want to hopefully give people hope that, you know, even if you've had a right-sided stroke, you still can operate, you know, a manual transmission. It's not out of the question. So let's get going here. Enough of me chit-chatting while I'm sitting still, but let's just go drive and see how things go. Yeah, always make sure to release your parking brake. I always forget sometimes. I think a lot of cars will automatically do it for you. I think this one does eventually if you get far enough, but some cars, they don't do it right away, and you might be kind of like stuck and jerking a little bit if you're trying to force accelerate when the parking brake's on. So I'm just in first gear here, coming out of a parking lot. No big deal. Gonna make a left turn here, clutch all the way in. Got it in neutral as I kind of coast up here to the street, back in first. Got my blinker on. Now I have a lot of some visual issues. Right, I don't have a right peripheral. This is obviously a left turn, but still, you got to be looking both ways. No matter what your deficiencies might be, just take your time. You don't want to hesitate, but just make sure you've looked everywhere. You should do that anyway as a normal driver, multiple times left and right. But really, I feel like we need to really be extra careful, extra cautious. Look twice this way, look twice that way. Got to be really careful and work extra hard. I mean, I think after a stroke, the way I kind of have found it, it's like everything we do, takes twice as much work as it did before. And our brains have a hard time working as quickly and processing things as fast as we did before. So it can be tiring, and the first time you might get out there practicing and even your first drive, I mean, you might want to do it, go out for 15-20 minutes. If you start to feel tired, that's okay. Head back to your your house or whatever, and kind of take a break and just relax a little bit. So don't overdo it, I guess is the point. For those of you with visual issues, you might want to take a Tylenol or something before you head out, just to kind of ease, give your head some, kind of a little bit of a break. I found that even before I go driving, sometimes I'll pop like even a single extra strength Tylenol. Really kind of takes the edge off. So I think that's a good recommendation. But I'm just in fourth gear now, just kind of cruising, going about 40 here on a 45, making a turn here with the clutch in. I'm gonna switch into second gear. I guess something else, because you don't have quite the precision or the feel that you had before, with feeling when the clutch engagement point is. It just we don't have that same kind of sensitivity in the foot, the ball of the foot or whatever, where we're touching the pedal. So it's going to take some practice. But I think once you kind of know, if you're comfortable with your car, you'll kind of know where the engagement point is. You'll kind of know, just like before, even before you had your stroke, when that engagement point is going to happen, how far your foot's back, things like that. So you can't drive on feel maybe as well as you could before, but with practice you can definitely get back there. It's amazing how your body can adapt and kind of learn, rewire, whatever you want to call it. But the brain can adapt, the body can adapt, and you can kind of work through a lot of things and kind of get back to doing everything you did before the stroke. It might take a little more effort or work, but you can do it. So don't give up. Coming into a stop sign here. No big deal. I mean, you can even have some spirited driving, quick shifts. Just make sure when you're shifting, make sure you get that pedal all the way in. Press it down. You don't want to be like half down trying to shift a gear. You might not have the clutch pedal in all the way to make that shifting gear. So you don't want to damage your transmission, but nice firm press before you shift. But once you're out there and you're just cruising, obviously it's easy. It's not so bad. It's really the trickier stuff's when you're going slower in a parking lot, stop and go type traffic. That's a little more effort, but again, that's why I recommend something with a little bit of a lighter clutch to get you going. But once you get the hang of it, you can have a lot of fun. And you know, makes you feel normal again. Enjoy driving. You know, you're engaged with the vehicle. I love driving a stick shift. It's just so much fun. You know, it makes every drive interesting. You know, versus just hopping in an automatic and, you know, going from A to B. When you're working the clutch and the stick, you're fully engaged with the car. It's a blast. You know, I think it's kind of a dying art, I guess. You know, most people just don't really get it anymore. But for those of us that can still enjoy it, it's awesome. And I just wanted to show that you still can. You know, even after you've had a stroke. Again, it depends. Everybody's different. Everybody's unique. Everybody's situation and recovery are unique. But hopefully, you know, there's some of you out there that might be in a similar situation that I am, where you still have enough feeling, you know, on that left side of your body that you can still enjoy driving your stick shift vehicle. But anyway, I think I could probably talk a little too much, but hopefully somebody out there finds this interesting, and, you know, post your comments below if anybody else out there has had similar you know, issues after a stroke and we're able to get back to driving a stick again and enjoy it. You know, let me know your experience or your thoughts. You know, any questions or whatever, let me know. All right, thanks for watching, guys.